We've been digging into real estate investing pretty closely over the last few years, and with our work at Cur8 Capital, where we invest in private funds, we've been exposed to some of the really interesting tax-saving strategies that the institutional investors and ultra-high net worths use to make their property investments. So in this video, we're going to spill the beans. We're going to give you 5 of those tax strategies that we've come across that are pretty cool that you probably have never heard of. Let's dive in. Guys, remember when Tony Blair was covered in the newspapers because he was buying property through offshore vehicles? And then remember the Panama Papers and all these other papers where people are buying property from overseas. There's a reason why they do that. It's pretty clever. So rather than buying and selling a property within the UK where you end up having to pay a lot of stamp duty and a lot of taxes, what they do is they just buy and sell the company that owns the property, but the company happens to be based in an offshore island where there isn't any tax. What that means is that the property stays exactly where it is, but the ownership of that property switches at the Cayman Island level, and that means a massive tax saving for the people who have done that. All perfectly legal too. Continuing in that vein, if you structure abroad, you can actually end up not having to pay tax on the dividends that you get back from the property regularly as well. How does that work? Well, if you invest by a UK limited company and you take your investment and you put it in a Guernsey company, and that Guernsey or Jersey company invests in a UK asset, ultimately it will distribute back the income to you to a UK limited company, but due to a tax quirk, this is seen as franked income. So the UK government or HMRC doesn't tax you again on the income that you are receiving from another company. In other words, you get that back tax-free. Ultimately, of course, when you exit your company and you have to distribute it out to your individual pocket, sure, you have to pay tax then, but that's a separate story. A pretty cool tax-saving strategy regardless. Now, this is a pretty cool tax-saving strategy. You see, property, when you buy it, usually appreciates over time and you are sat on a capital gain. But if you contribute that property into a real estate investment trust, that capital gain gets effectively wiped out. So you are up a decent chunk of money in that case as well. So if you can get the chance to either create your own REIT, which is difficult unless you're very wealthy, or invest in something prior to it becoming a REIT, that's a pretty cool place to be from a tax saving perspective. By the way guys, if you benefit from these videos, please do make sure you subscribe, because it really benefits us and it allows the YouTube algorithm to chuck us out further so that more people can find out about this cool stuff, and so that actually helps everyone invest better. REITs are a great vehicle to acquire and hold assets through. There's a bunch of different benefits because at the REIT level, for a start, you don't have any capital gains tax or any income tax when you're buying and selling the property. When you are buying and selling the shares in the REIT, the stamp duty is 0.5% rather than the 5% plus that it would be if you were to buy the property itself directly. And finally, of course, a REIT is far more liquid, so you can exit and enter it more effectively than if you were to hold an individual property. This strategy is effectively the same as the previous strategy, but you're now holding it via an ISA. So at the point where you exit the REIT and you have any income or you have any capital gains from the shares of the REIT that you were holding, you still don't have to pay any tax on it because you're in this ISA wrapper. And of course, ISAs are tax-free up to a limit of £20,000 every single year. So there we are, folks. 5 really cool tax-saving strategies that the ultra-high net worths and institutions use every single day when they make property investments. If you'd like to find out more about these kind of investments, about how you could potentially get access to these kind of private funds, then you should make sure that you make a beeline for Cur8 Capital, which is our investment arm, and you can explore in a lot more detail there. Remember, as always, folks, this is not financial advice, this is not tax advice, your capital is at risk. I'll see you next time.